Let's talk Manchester United then. Dharmesh, where are we with Dorgu? How close?
This looks really close now because Manchester United, we're told, are close to finalising a deal with Lecce for their defender, Patrick Dorgu. Many of the aspects, I'm told, of that deal, worth in the region of £30 million, have been agreed in principle. I've actually been told that it could actually be a little bit less than £30 million all in. So it looks like something that Manchester United were pushing for. They didn't want to overpay for Dorgu, and it seems like that they're going to get the deal that they want. Positive talks have been happening last week. They happened this week. They were continuing today. I think the finalities of this deal are now just the structure of it, because I think the overall package hasn't changed that much to what Manchester United were offering before, but maybe the structure and the makeup of the deal has. As far as Dorgu's concerned, he wants to come to Manchester United, make no mistake about it, and we're told that personal terms not expected to be a problem. So this one looks really, really close now.
He's not been playing senior football for very long. Is this a gamble?
I think all signings are a gamble, and United haven't been particularly successful when it comes to buying players from Italy recently. But Dorgu's an emerging talent. I'm not going to lie to you. I haven't watched Lecce very closely, or if at all, recently. But, you know, Manchester United scouts have been watching him. They think he's got a big future in the game. He was the Danish Young Player of the Year last year. So he's a big talent. And I think it's great news for Ruben Amorim, because obviously he's told the people above him at United, this is an area we need to strengthen ASAP.
So if he comes in, they've got to pay for him. Does that mean Garnacho's got to go? And if he has, would you sell Garnacho?
Well, I think the situation with Garnacho is a simple one, and that's the problem I think all Premier League teams have, is that the young players are obviously, you know, when it comes to FFP and the financial fair play, etc., that he becomes an asset in terms of that money that they're going to need to invest in the team. So the 70 million or whatever figure they feel they're going to get for him, or whether that happens or not, I don't know, will be to strengthen, particularly, I think, the back line, which is a problem for United. You know, you only got to look at their goals against column for a top team. It's just not good enough. So to buy two young players, I can see that. It's a sacrifice, because obviously the boys are talent, and I think that is a deal that could happen.
Are you surprised that Amorim's been there for a while yet and he still hasn't made a signing?
Well, I think he's definitely a coach that has great potential. I love the way he uses the press. He's sort of wears his heart on his sleeve. He's giving you guys what you want. He's being honest. I think the team he's probably looking at, and he sees so much dysfunction. I see him at Fulham at the weekend, and on Monday, sorry, and you know they're not solid. They're not the Man United you would expect to see. So I think he's been surprised by what he's found. But genuinely, I think he's doing a decent job, and I think he will look to this window to kind of manoeuvre it a little bit. And it doesn't look like he's got much wiggle room, but Garnacho might be the answer to that.
What would you change at United?
Well, I think his system is something that's brought him great success at Sporting Lisbon, so I think he'll stick to that system. I think he needs to understand the players that he has, and only by playing them and seeing them on a regular basis will you get to know that. The fact that he's had to come in mid-season and not have a pre-season where he could sort of bond with the players is always difficult, and I've had to do that as a manager. That is your most difficult thing as a manager, to come in mid-season and try and create relationships with players when you're just going game to game, and you're not getting no downtime. So that's been difficult for him.
Will he have Casemiro by the end of this window?
I'm not sure he wants Casemiro by the end of this window. You know, there was a lot of hype and fanfare when United signed him from Real Madrid. Obviously a fantastic player with an incredible record when it comes to winning trophies, but you just get the feeling that most neutral observers would say that he was kind of been past his best by the time he moved to the Premier League. He's on big money. I think United would listen to offers for him. Our colleagues at Sky in Italy are saying that Roma have been asked to be kept in the loop about his future and his potential availability. I think Roma are looking for a midfielder in case Leandro Paredes moves to Boca Juniors. So that's a possibility that he could leave. But again, I'm not sure Roma would want to pay that much for him, or there's no way Roma could match the wages he's on at United.
Time to move him on, Alan?
I think so. I think, you know, he's come in and he's not really, you know, sort of stamped.
He started well, though, didn't he?
He did, and he had a couple of days ago. But he's at that age where you always kind of have that label against him. As his legs gone, is he getting around the pitch? Is the mobility still there? And I think that has left him. And, you know, in that midfield, it's slightly vulnerable because there's a lack of experience in there. So, you know, they were looking to him to do so many things, and he just hasn't been able to do that. And I think possibly if he moves on, I think that will probably be a good thing for the manager because, you know, you don't want senior players, big senior players, big personalities, not playing, but in the dressing room, you know, maybe not that motivated, etc., etc. So it's a tough one for him to have Casemiro, you know, this guy who's been a legend in the game, in the dressing room, not playing.
I think it's been slightly unfortunate as well, though. First season, United did really well. They finished third under Erik Ten Hag. They won the League Cup, and he was central to what Manchester United did that season. The second season, Ten Hag was there, and I know it's not an excuse, but there were so many injuries that Manchester United had, particularly in defence. He ended up playing centre-half some games. And now, Ruben Amorim has come in with a new formation where it requires the two midfielders in front of that back three to be up and down and have legs, and he maybe needs one or two midfielders who have got those legs to be able to function in a formation like that.
It would certainly be better at Roma, you know, in an Italian system where you just have that number 6, which he likes to play. He can sit in front of the back four and use his experience. So I can understand that interest. But I think, you know, there is some truth in what you're saying there. The role in that midfield of Amorim's is slightly different.
Doesn't appear to be a role for Marcus Rashford at United. What's the latest with him?
Well, look, we've got 6 days to go. Time's running out for Marcus Rashford to try and get a move because he did that interview. We had Henry Winter in here yesterday. He actually did that interview with Henry Winter on December the 17th, 2 weeks before the transfer window opened. So you would think that if you're doing an interview like that, I need a new challenge, there's bound to be a club ready to go to take Marcus Rashford. Day 28 of the transfer window, still training with the first team squad and nowhere near Ruben Amorim's squad. Ruben Amorim, I mean, I saw Alan on Sunday at that game, and the press conference was explosive because the way he spoke about Marcus Rashford, and we've spoken about what he said, but he was also asked the question, if he is at Manchester United come 11 p.m. on February the 3rd, what's going to happen? And he actually said, look, he will be used provided he shows the maximum in training and does the right things, which is effectively implying that Marcus Rashford hasn't been showing the maximum in training, hasn't been showing the right things. AC Milan have come and gone. They had an interest. They've now signed Kyle Walker. Marcus Rashford isn't going there. Borussia Dortmund had an interest. The finances simply will not work for them. He wants to go to Barcelona. And if you want to talk about financial issues, I mean, put them top of the list because they need to create loads of salary space to even contemplate going for a deal for Rashford. There was talk as well of Fenerbahce potentially trying to get Marcus Rashford, and their vice president is Akun Ilikali, who's actually the Hull owner as well. He was on Sky Sports News this morning. He was asked a question about Rashford. He said, of course, there were some rumours, but I can say very comfortably that we are not interested, but he is a good player. So as it stands, he's still at Manchester United, and if he remains there, Manchester United are going to have to do some sort of reintegration into that first team, so he's knocking on the door of the first team again.
Reintegration. Darmash always uses that word. I don't see it. Do you see it?
Well, look, you know, first and foremost, the boy is a talent. You know, it was only yesterday that, you know, for England, he was a star player for us. So he has the talent. There's obviously a motivational factor going on here. Now, for whatever reason, whether there is something gone off in the dressing room with him or he's not happy, he's obviously using that kind of feeling that Amorim's picking up on, and he's not happy with it. So he is in a difficult position, and I think for him to move on is the right thing, probably for Man United and for Rashford as well. But it's a difficult one. I've been in that situation before. And this particular window, you know, he was talking on Monday about him not training well. But this is because the window's open. You know, he's probably making a statement that I want to move, and he's not working properly. That doesn't mean to say when the window shuts and he hasn't moved, that first of Feb he's running around, you know, like he really means it. So, you know, let's wait and see on that. I still think that there will be a deal done.
You do?
Yeah, I do think there will be a deal done.
I think, though, if you go back to the start of the transfer window, Manchester United could demand anything they wanted for Rashford. If it was going permanently, they could name a price. But with regard to if he went on loan, they would insist, we're not paying any of his wages. Whoever wants to take him pays all of his wages. But since then, has their position weakened a little bit? Because of these comments that Ruben Amorim keeps making, it's clear that he wants him out. Can a club, late on in this window, see an opportunity and think, you know what, we'll take him, but Manchester United, you're going to have to pay a substantial portion of these wages, which is not going to be ideal for United because they don't want to pay a player to be playing somewhere else.
Most of these kind of deals, we all know, at the end of the window, things start to get done because actually, at some point, the cards are falling for somebody. And in Rashford's situation, I'm sure his agent and the people around him are kind of waiting to see where the cards are going to fall. And you're quite right. You know, the value the value for Man United is probably going down as the window is closing. And the manager's comments, oh, what a manager's, you know, he's just talking from the training ground, exactly what he's finding. And I think he's looking after the football club. He's saying what he feels, and they'll all have to take the consequences of what that is.
Do you see him staying in the Premier League, Carve, at another club?
I think it'd be intriguing if a Premier League club did try and sign him later on in the window, maybe to follow up what Alan is saying. You know, deadline day or the day before could be a good time for one of the big clubs in the Premier League who are looking for a forward to get in touch with United and say, we're here if you want to do a deal, but only on these terms. And then United would have a big decision to make. I think, you know, knowing what managers are like, there'll be managers out there who think Marcus Rashford is a challenge. I can sort him out. You know,
definitely.
I can get him in. I can get him in the office.
There's definitely that.
We can have a heart to heart. Whatever problems he's got, I can sort it out.
Yeah, because and also all managers have egos, and you know I'll get the best out of him. Of course they do. You know, like you guys have egos. You know, football managers, you get an ego, and you assume that you can bring him into your environment and get him going again, because obviously this kid needs a boost as well, and I think he'll be good for somebody, but I doubt whether he'll end up in the Premier League. I cannot see Jim Ratcliffe and the team at Man United agreeing for him to go to Arsenal, Chelsea or wherever. I can't see that.
Give us an example from your managerial career then, when you took on a player, when everyone was like, I'm not sure you should do this, Alan, but no, I'm going to be able to sort it out.
Well, you know, I think there's, you know, situations where you take players on and you assume that you're going to get the best out of them, but don't always work out like that. But I've signed, I can't think of anyone off the top of my head really, of a player that I've signed assuming that I was going to resurrect his career. Most of the signings I did were young players that were trying to find their way, so it was a bit different. I think Kabay, when I took him, I assumed that when he came into us from Lille to Newcastle, that we would get a big uplift out of him. And obviously we did. You know, I think we sold him PSG for about 80 million more. So that's probably the one example that I can think of.
Well, you've signed some players, Tevez, Mascherano. We're going to talk about that a bit later.
That was a complicated.
Yeah, exactly. We've got time. Paul Pogba teased us today. Is he going back to United?
That's exactly what he did. Teased a few people. His representatives have been approached by a number of clubs in Europe, the Premier League, the MLS, Saudi Arabia. However, his focus is simply on getting fit, and a decision on his next club will probably be made closer to when he can return to playing, which is around March time. His 4-year ban, remember, for a positive drugs test was reduced to 18 months. So he can start training now, but join a club and play again in March. I think we can see the social media post now from Paul Pogba. He posted a cartoon. Look at this. I'm not sure exactly what this means. Of him alongside Manchester United forward Amad Diallo yesterday with the laughing emoji. I know that Carve loves to use on occasions. He's also shared a picture, another one, with a caption. I think we can see the next one as well. Reflectively looking out. And the caption says, "Let's see what's coming." Well, I think we'll probably find out, as I said, nearer to March when he'll probably make a decision on his next club.
Alan, would you take a risk on Pogba?
Well, Paul Pogba is a great player. There's no doubt about that. He's a World Cup winner, so he's in the conversation at most clubs, I should think. He comes with some baggage, socially and in the dressing room, and I can't see him back at Man United.
Right, we've got a viewer question. Sean, introduce yourself and tell us who you support.
Hi, my name's Sean. I'm a Manchester United fan, and I just wanted to know if Nkunku would be coming to Manchester United on loan in this window.
Carvey, Nkunku to United on loan. What do you think?
I think it's a possibility. I don't think it's likely. The latest information we have coming out of Chelsea is that they are happy with their squad. They're not actively looking to move any players out. But obviously, their phones ring. Other clubs are interested in taking their players. Bayern Munich really want Christopher Nkunku. I think he would like to move to Bayern Munich. That is being held up at the moment because Matisse Tell isn't willing to move from Bayern to Chelsea the other way. But it is a possibility, but I wouldn't put money on it at this stage.
Thank you, Sean.
Manchester United have agreed a £35 million deal to sign Lex wingback Patrick Dorgu, Fabrizio Romano has revealed. The Italian transfer guru has given his trademark "Here we go" seal of approval to the move, which sees the Red Devils paying an initial fee of £30 million with £5 million in potential add-ons. Dorgu emerged as a key target for the Red Devils this month given the ongoing struggles for Ruben Amorim with the left wing-back position. Neither Luke Shaw nor Tyrell Malacia, the two most obvious candidates to fill the role, can match the physical Shaw or technical Malacia attributes the Portuguese coach demands from the wing-back position. Amorim's trademark 3-4-3 system, which established him as one of the most exciting young managers in Europe during his time at Sporting CP, is heavily reliant upon the wing-backs to provide width and penetrating runs in the opposition half. The 40-year-old's preference for his front three to consist of a number 9 and 2 number 10s, who primarily operate in between the lines of midfield and defence, rather than out wide, means attacking play down the channels comes largely from the wing-backs. However, these players are also tasked with helping the defence and must be capable of lung-busting runs in transition to cover opposition wingers. This combination of responsibilities requires a high level of physicality to effectively defend, which rules out Shaw, and a high level of technical ability in the final third, which Malacia lacks. Dorgu, who has often been deployed at right wing for Lex this season, is a physical monster, standing and possessing a potent pairing of speed and strength. He also ranks highly for offensive actions among wingbacks across Europe, particularly compared to under-23 players. United have seen 2 bids for the Danish international rejected by Lex, but the third, and ultimately final, was enough to convince the Italian club to sell, as Romano states. Personal terms are expected to be a formality, with Dorgu reported to have already agreed a contract with Old Trafford officials during negotiations, worth around 6 times his current salary in Italy. Amorim will be delighted to welcome a player who offers 2 vital areas of improvement to his squad: a natural left wing-back option and a physically imposing player. All for a potential price of £35 million. Not bad going.